Hello, everyone. It's such a great honor to have a chance to spend a few moments sharing some thoughts with you all about Juneteenth this year and some of the ways in which I think the work that you do is so important to the idea of liberation that Juneteenth tries to inspire, despite many challenges and really checkered history. I'm going to assist myself in this recording with some images just to help paint a broader picture than my words could convey. And also just to make sure that you have something to see rather than my mug while we're having this experience. Thank you again for joining. And I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Juneteenth is a time of multiple meanings. The name Juneteenth tells you this about something different than one particular day. A stacking of numbers, a layering of factors, a sequence that continuously builds upon itself. The nth time, the umpteenth. A lot of things, past, influencing our present, a culmination of events, a healthy portion of exasperation implied by that name, Juneteenth. A time not marking the first statement of emancipation, rather marking the time when emancipation was presented by force to the far reaches of the country at that time, namely Texas. Juneteenth, the umpteenth time for the Declaration's enforcement to be heeded across our span. The nth time for declaring, yes, but Juneteenth has never been a celebration of actual racial liberation. That struggle continues so that every year becomes the umpteenth call for freedom. To me, Juneteenth also emphasizes the links between different forms of oppression. Anti-Black racism is linked to gender bias, to ageism, to anti-Semitism, anti-queer and transisms, and all the other isms that exist out there today. Anti-Black racism, the large-scale kidnapping of humans from the African continent, and the enslavement of those same people in the name of wealth building for a small number. Anti-Black racism, and the systematic, well-planned disenfranchisement of Black people, accelerated by hate, is linked to anti-Indigenous atrocities, the displacement from ancestral lands, the casual disregard for nation-to-nation formal agreements, the venal erasure of culture and ways of being. Juneteenth is layered and interlinked, and it speaks to a soul-weary frustration that we still haven't reached that place, where we acknowledge that our diversity makes us, all of us, better. Juneteenth, for the nth time, reminds us of something so many would rather not admit. That the reason we haven't reached that place is not because it's impossible to get there, not because we haven't seen inklings of how we can reach it, not because we don't know how much better off we would all be, not because the sacrifices needed to get there are so much greater than the benefits. Juneteenth reminds us of the hard truth that we haven't reached that place because we have chosen not to reach that place. But Juneteenth holds another truth as well. A truth that says, even though we haven't made the choice to get there yet, for the umpteenth time, we are reminded that we still can. And in that reminder, for the nth time comes the source of the celebrations of community, of co-destiny, of cherished connection, and celebratory music and food that also marks the day. Juneteenth offers a moment for reflection about all of this, the good and the bad, along with the admonition for the umpteenth time. Get up again tomorrow and continue fighting for what is loving and right and just. An admonition that every day is the right day to be the architects of a better day, a better US, a better us. Today, right now, we need a civil reclamation, a recommitment to social justice with a dedication to actually make it happen. We can't be afraid to seek progress. We can't limit our aspirations to the mere prevention of further sliding. What does it take to manifest a better world? What does it take to make hard, overdue changes happen? To reignite a dedication to humanism, to operating with the understanding that our interwoven society means we are better when we are all better. What does it take in this time when our government is overtaken by authoritarianism? Real change, real transformation is hard. It defies singular approaches, defies binary thinking, requires that we hold multiple ideas simultaneously, all stitched together, even when they seem at odds. For instance, the past year or two has posed a monumental threat to promoting equity. And the data shows that we hadn't really made any measurable progress in the two decades or more before this time. That includes the time of a Black president and the time of an avowed reckoning in the wake of George Floyd's and others' murders. The terrible now and the persistent paralysis. No measurable progress in the previous two decades. What does this tell us about the work we must undertake to see real change? What does it take to make this kind of change happen? I ask you because I think you are the leaders that we need today. Is it enough to know facts and share truths? Is it even enough to have solutions, to have a plan? What's the right approach? You, your profession, and yes, you as individuals, as human beings. When I watch you, when I listen to you, I see an interwoven multitude of skills, of approaches, and I see how it is all rooted in how you show up. Showing up honestly starts to feel particularly significant in these days, despite the simple sound of it. Showing up honestly is one of the many things the nursing profession teaches us. I think that's part of why nurses are consistently viewed as the most trustworthy in our society. Showing up honestly, particularly in the healthcare realm, is so crucial. Nurses, you show up in this often muddled space with an honest offering. You say, I'm here, I'll help. You are not alone. Let's find a healing path. AI, by the way, can never really supplant that. When we feel we are not alone, something changes in the way we respond to hardship, whether that hardship is in our bodies or in the highest bodies of government. Tyrants put a lot of work into making sure individuals feel alone in their struggles. So it stands to reason that people working together are a great threat to the oppressors, especially when it's diverse groupings of people and shared aggregations of brilliance. You know this. You know how important a multitude of wisdoms with a shared voice is. You know how important organizing is. You know how important truth is. You, as an association, as an amalgam of our most trusted people, have the aptitude and expertise it takes to mobilize. You, as societal bedrocks, by dint of your training, are most active when the greatest personal harm is occurring to others. You are best positioned to coalesce us and be our guides through this time of peril. You are, by definition, our Harriet Tubman in this time. And Harriet Tubman, by definition, is you. Harriet Tubman was a conductor on the Underground Railroad, a guide placing herself at risk to lead enslaved people toward freedom. She was also a spy, using her knowledge of the heartland of oppression to provide intel in the Civil War. She was also a nurse, like you, tending to Civil War Union Army wounded, and she continued to utilize her nursing training after the Civil War. She started up rehabilitative centers for Black Union soldier veterans, creating respite homes for aging veterans, building the infrastructure for healing after the bloody devastation of civil war. Harriet Tubman is you. You are Harriet Tubman. You are inheritors of a legacy of placing yourself at risk to help others, helping people through the hardest times, making sure individuals, especially those most inequitably harmed by systems of violence, know that they are not alone. Orienteering away from active harm, helping us know we're not alone, building our future capacity to heal. This is what we need from you today more than ever, to tap into your inner Tubman. And in my view, the best measure, the best sign, the best indicator that we are on a course and heading towards healing, not a problem-based measure, isn't just a tabulation of harms done, isn't just a list of pathologies. To me, the best indicator of your good work, the best comprehensive measure of your incomprehensible efforts, the best vital sign is dignity. The ways in which you help to restore, instill, or celebrate the dignity of those around you. Dignity. Dignity is the most important vital sign. This is what those Black women who started the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic, the clinic I worked in for a couple of decades, were saying nearly 60 years ago. Dignity is your vital sign, is our vital sign. 6 decades ago, while living in Chicago, a single mother named Odessa Brown was seeking healthcare and being turned away, and the outrageousness of that infuriated her. And before she rained a holy terror of expletives on the healthcare administrator who was turning her away, Odessa looked at her children that were beside her, and she took a breath. And then she said, I am Black and I am poor, and because of this, you are denying me care. But I will leave this place calmly because you can take away my health care, but I won't let you take away my dignity. When she eventually moved to Seattle, she led the fight to start a clinic for children in her Black neighborhood. Odessa died much too young, right before the clinic's doors opened. But the founders of the clinic, mostly Black women, had listened to Odessa, and the clinic, named after her, made a promise to provide quality care with dignity. And that was the promise that all of us honored to be part of that clinic were obliged to offer, promote, defend, and protect. Quality care with dignity. My medical training had put a lot of effort into preparing me to provide quality of care. Medical school never talked too much about the dignity part. And when I started at the clinic, it was a nurse practitioner named Liz Thomas who took me under her wing and taught me about dignity, about its inherency, how it was a right, how it was so often denied poor people, Black and brown people, marginalized people. She taught me that dignity meant that families, parents were the experts about their children. She taught that celebrating someone's story, someone's culture, someone's ancestors, and their legacy were critical to practicing dignity. The dignity didn't always mean fixing suffering, but it did mean honoring the human enduring the struggle and sharing the load with them when you can. Dignity meant embracing everything a child might imagine a good life and future might include for them. It meant holding highest the wisdom born from living experience. It meant being beside someone, not talking in front of them, being beside someone, seeing them, really seeing them, and letting them know that they're not alone. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. might say that quality care without dignity is a little bit like power without love, reckless and abusive. And maybe that's why our healthcare system remains recalcitrantly racist every time some grand group of smarties does a systems analysis of it. Dignity is the missing measure, is the thing usually missing from the list of key indicators in healthcare systems, which is ironic to me because healthcare has you, and your work is all about dignity. Dignity is what Harriet Tubman acted toward when she led enslaved people toward freedom, when she tended to the wounds of Union officers fighting a horrific war, when she built healing spaces for veterans of that horror. Dignity is what Odessa called for as she was being led out of a healthcare facility in Chicago, and as she organized a Black community in Seattle to build a children's clinic. Dignity is what Liz Thomas worked so hard to instill in people like me. Dignity is what each of you were demonstrating, cajoling, teaching people like me as we trained in those fancy hospitals and as we stood together in demonstration against the harms hospitals like that can do. Dignity is what you were exhorting people like me to lift up each time a loving parent on their worst night would bring their sick child in for care. Dignity is our vital sign, and the future health of healthcare depends on the trajectory of this vital indicator. You've taught people like me all of this, and you continue to teach this in all the ways you show up every day. I'm very grateful to you all for that, and I have the audacity to ask you to continue to be our guides and leaders in dignity. You are the most trusted. You are the most crucially positioned. You have the brilliance to organize, to speak out, to be leading the movement, to be the guides towards a better healthcare system, to be the measures by which other parts of our country, of our systems, can see themselves become their best selves, to be the motivators for societal healing at this time of tyranny, and as this time of tyranny starts to wane. And it will wane. It will diminish. It will end. And we will see a better day. We, all of us in this state, in this region, in this country, need you and all of your gifts. We need you in the fight right now for the umpteenth time. As our organization, as our organizing and expressive conscience, and as our fierce guides on the difficult path toward justice, the path that this time called Juneteenth reminds us of every year. We need you for the nth time tomorrow as our most trustworthy healers as we emerge from this past time of tyranny. We need you in elected offices, in policy-making spaces, in the rooms where it happens. We need you leading us, beside us, reminding us that we are not alone. For you are Harriet Tubman, and dignity is our shared vital sign. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few words, a few thoughts. I hope this time, this thing we call Juneteenth, is a deeply contemplative one for you. A time of warmth and joy for the co-conspirators, the collaborators, the people who you walk beside and support in your everyday struggles towards justice for everyone, and I mean everyone. Also a time to reflect and understand and take note of, acknowledge, and show that we do not forget our past, that past that has included terrible harms to human beings because of the melanin in their skin, and that present that includes terrible harms to human beings because of the melanin in their skin. This Juneteenth, for the umpteenth, for the nth time, it's maybe one more chance to reflect, to plan, to plot, to organize, to share some joy, some wonderful food, to look each other in the eye and say, I see you. And because I see you and stand with you, I know it's possible. Thank you.